Will Jaden Daniels have a sophomore slump? Can the Packers turn their championship ambitions into reality? Will Mike Tomlin finally have his first losing season? I grab my crystal balls and I look onto the future and give you my predictions for the NFL season. Sure, there's going to be some hot takes along the way, so buckle up and whip out your phone and download Underdog of Fantasy. Sign up with promo code Broshmo and they'll match that first deposit up to $1,000 dues. Shameless plug, I know. I think the best way to start this video is going over who's going to win each and every division. So I pulled up last year's stand-ins. We're of course going to start with the AFC East. Fins up, baby, fins up, where the Buffalo Bills won. If we're going to look at betting odds, fun fact, the Bills, they're the favorites once again. Listen, I'm a Dolphins fan, but I live in reality. I know who the new daddy of the AFC East is. It's Josh Allen and company. It just is. Tom Brady, his time has come and gone, and we needed a new daddy, and here he is. Golly, I hate calling Josh Allen daddy, but that's the life of a Dolphins fan. Yeah, I think they're easy favorites to win the division here. Too many question marks with every other team. Elijah Vera Tucker potentially suffered a serious upper body injury, but I don't think the Jets were going to be making a run of things. Things will be interesting with the Patriots. The Dolphins, I just feel like they're too thin on the roster, so it kind of is what it is. They're Buffalo Bills enjoy the playoffs once again. Let's move on to the AFC North. Are things going to be a little bit more interesting, or are the Bengals going to be a bit more healthy? Let's take a look at the current odds for the AFC North. As to nobody's surprise, it's the Baltimore Ravens. If we're going to look at the history, I mean, the Ravens have won the division the last 2 years. The Bengals had a little run before that. It's just the Bengals defense. It's kind of the Achilles heel for them. I don't know if that offense can produce enough. And if you're a fantasy owner, yeah, you're buying in to the Bengals offense just because their defense is so terrible. So yeah, of course, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens here to win the AFC North. However, I'm going to give you two hot takes. Maybe this isn't a hot take. Kevin O'Connell is going to keep his job. I hope he does. I think he's a good coach. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Will Mike Tomlin have a losing season? Will he be fired? Are the Steelers done with being mid? I know fans hate being mid, but I don't think the organization is done with being mid. I think somehow Mike Tomlin finds a way to get to 9-8, maybe 8-1, and I think he's going to stick around and be the head coach here. That's just what I think is going to happen. So let's talk about maybe something a little bit more interesting. That being the AFC South. Got some contenders here, right? Jacksonville Jaguars, Liam Cohen. That offense is going to feel exciting. Daniel Jones and the Colts. I've never trusted Daniel Jones. I've never been a truther, and I'm not going to start now. I don't think the Colts might be mid, but I just don't see it. It's got to be the Houston Texans, right? Who are the betting odd favorites? I can't imagine it's anything other than the Houston Texans. Oh, look at that. Okay, Jaguars have made up some ground. They're right now going off at plus 300. The Texans have won the division back-to-back years with 10 wins. I think last year my hot take was the Texans would finish with less than 10 wins. I was so close. They were so hurt and banged up. And that offensive line still has some question marks, but CJ Stroud's a hell of a good quarterback. I think it's kind of easy to take them here. Let's talk about Cam Ward real quick, though. I don't know what the expectations are for Cam Ward. I think if you're a Tennessee fan, maybe you see what Jaden Daniels did last year and you're like, ooh, that could be Cam Ward. And I think that's a little ridiculous. Let's reel back. And Titans fans aren't going to like this. I think the type of year to expect. Again, I'm not making comparisons to players. Just saying, I think the type of year you should expect is going to be a lot closer to Will Levis than Jaden Daniels. Oh no, what? We just got, well, you didn't get rid of Will Levis, but you just got over Will Levis. And what I mean by that is Jaden Daniels was very careful with the football last year. I don't think Cam Ward's going to be like that. I'm a Hurricanes fan. Do you, baby? Do you? I don't see that for Cam Ward. I mean, just go back to his tape. This man, he may be cool, calm, and collected, but he lives life on the edge. So I do think you're going to see a bit more mistakes, especially as a rookie. But he's going to provide a lot more excitement. He's going to be able to battle back. That offensive line made some significant moves to get better. Well, I suppose we'll see, but I think at least in terms of expectation, mine would be a lot closer. And I'm not saying Cam Ward's gonna make these catastrophic mistakes like Will Levis, but I think in the turnover department there are gonna be some turnovers. Are they gonna be like pick sixes, throwing fumble or passes backwards into costly fumbles? No, I don't think they're gonna be as viral as Will Levis, but I do expect a little bit of turnover worthy plays. I guess that's the best way to put it. Let's wrap up the AFC. The AFC West. Kansas City Chiefs. They won it last year. Golly, I don't want to. The offense felt mid as hell. They didn't score over 30 within regulation once during the NFL season. They waited to the playoffs to do that. It's still hard to bet against them. They're always there in the Super Bowl. You can't bet against the Chiefs, right? It's just silly. It's silly to think even if it's going to be a down year for the Chiefs. Like, what's a down year? Like 11 wins? Like, what are we doing here? Now, the division has gotten significantly better. The AFC, we talked about the AFC North as for a long time being the best division in the NFL. And I think the AFC West is now, I don't think they have the title. I think there's another division I would say has that title, but I think they're the second best division in football. The Chargers, significantly better. The Broncos, stepping in the right direction, found their franchise quarterback. Raiders, they're going to be significantly better, at least on offense. So it's going to be competitive. I imagine the Chiefs are still your odds-on favorite to win the West. As yes, they are. With it being very close between the Broncos and the Chargers for a second. And I mean, the Chiefs, they've won this division since 2016. I don't think you bet against the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs. They're going to win the division. But I think we could see two wildcard teams come out of this division. And I'm not saying just Broncos, Chargers. I think the Raiders are in that mix as well. Don't sleep on the Raiders. Just don't. But let's move on to the NFC, because there's some stuff to talk about here. This division hasn't had a repeat winner since in the last 20 years. Going back to from 2001 to 2004, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Eagles probably break that streak this year. They repeat. Though the Commanders, they'll be close. Let's take a look at the odds, because I'm going to find this fascinating. I imagine the Commanders are going to be close. They're plus 115. So they are pretty close. Cowboys are going to be an interesting team this year, but you just trade Micah Parsons. I'm sorry, the vibes just aren't with you. Though they get a healthy Dak, and I wouldn't discount the Cowboys. And I think they have a more favorable schedule compared to the rest of the division, just considering who they play at home, who they play away. The Eagles, I don't think they have back-to-back home games at all this season. So don't sleep on the Cowboys. But this has to be still, I'm gonna still go with the Eagles, because will Jaden Daniels regress? Ooh, let's talk about it. Is there going to be a sophomore slump? And I would say yes, but not in the way that you're thinking, because we think sophomore slump, right? And we go back to CJ Stroud, right? He had the sophomore slump last season. And I figured, hey, let's pull up their stats from last year. I'm on PFF. I'm looking at their stats. And I want to let's look at what we consider a sophomore slump. So Stroud, he had more yards than Daniels. Granted, Daniels picked up a lot on the ground. Again, this is all regular season numbers. I'm not including the postseason. The completion rate was much better for Daniels. The touchdowns were better, less turnovers, but turnovers can be a fluky thing. Kind of depends on the turnover-worthy play rate, and Stroud did have more of a turnover-worthy play rate last season. Drops, they were in the same ballpark. Adjusted completion percentage, man, I'm telling y'all, Jaden Daniels, like, he's gonna be an elite quarterback in the NFL. I just think if that's your expectation, that he takes that step into elite, then yeah, maybe you might consider it a sophomore slump when his numbers might end up being relatively the same as last season. Because, well, for one, Stroud, he was dealing with a much worse offensive line, but sack totals were pretty close to one another. They really were. And I think part of that is just Jaden Daniels being a mobile quarterback. Maybe he gets himself into some trouble. But they improved the offensive line. Laramie Tunsil, who ironically was protecting the blind side for CJ Stroud, is now there with Jaden Daniels. I think hey guys, Laramie Tunsil, one of the best pass protectors in the NFL. I know Texans fans are like, oh, locker room cancer, so many penalties. A lot of those penalties were in the run game. I think at least with Jaden Daniels, he had such a great rookie year. A phenomenal rookie year. If you're expecting an MVP performance, you might be let down. I think realistically, expectations should be what he did last year. I mean, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, not even going over what he did on the ground. That's kind of where my expectation is at, because that's already a hell of a good year. A hell of a good year. That's where I would put the floor of my expectations at, and then okay, yeah, ceiling, he's going to be the MVP. So I guess it kind of matters, where's the bar for you? If the bar is he looks much of the same as he did last year, then you might be let down. You might think it's a slump. I wouldn't consider that a slump. I'd be like, oh no, he just had another good year because he's a really good quarterback. So that's kind of where I'm at with this whole, does he regress, sophomore slump or MVP? That's kind of where I'm at. And hopefully that is acceptable to Commanders fans. But let's move on. Let's go to the NFC North, or how I like to call it, the new AFC North. This is the best division in football. Ben Johnson on the Bears. Bears off-season champions until the Packers traded for Micah Parsons. You get our first look at JJ McCarthy in the regular season. The Detroit Lions, they lost both coordinators, but it's a very talented team. Dan Campbell, really good head coach. I don't think they're going to have the drop-off people think they might. I am curious what the odds are, as the Packers are your new favorite, but golly, it's close. It is real close between them and the Lions, and those two teams should be the favorites. In my opinion, they should be your favorites. It's going to be a fun watch this year for the NFC North, but the addition of Micah Parsons, I think, legitimately gives this team, Green Bay, championship ambition and aspirations. So we'll get to my Super Bowl predictions at the end of the video. We'll see if I include the Packers. We'll see. But I think I'm probably going to go with the Packers to win the division, because you lost Ben Johnson. You lost Aaron Glenn. If you're the Lions, you lost Frank Ragnow. I mean, sure, you get a fully healthy Aiden Hutchinson. Aleem McNeil will be back eventually, but you lost a lot. I think probably the safe money will be with the Green Bay Packers. So we'll see. Regardless, it's going to be a fun year in the NFC North. It's going to be a dogfight. Going to the NFC South. Ugh. Golly. So I was looking at from the 2023 season to the 2024 season. How many division winners did change? And I was kind of looking at like I guess I was looking on average how many new division winners do we see? And it typically hovers around 2. And the AFC North was a legitimate division I was considering. Maybe do I call a change here? And obviously that would be between Atlanta, which many people thought that last year would have been the year. It wasn't. And Tampa Bay, who, hey, I know they're going to be beat up to start the year. Tristan Wirfs, I don't believe is going to start the opener. And by the way, congratulations, Luke Gadecki. Got himself a contract. But, yeah, Chris Godwin's going to be out for at least the first 5 weeks. That's kind of where it's at. What to expect for the Carolina Panthers, because that team seems like it's getting better, but is it enough to compete with the division? The Saints, sorry, maybe next year. You're in a rebuild. It's fine. It's fine to be in a rebuild. Let's see where the odds are at. I imagine it's with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's where I'm gonna lean, is with the Buccaneers. I'm buying whatever's in the water, whatever's in the Gulf of Mexico or America, whatever the hell you want to call it. What's in the water in the Atlantic? But yeah, it's actually a little further than I thought. Falcons at plus 225. I thought it'd be a little bit closer with them in the Bucks, but I'm gonna lean the Bucks. I'm interested to see the Falcons. I think Raheem Morris, show me something on defense. You're a defensive-minded coach, and now I guess you got the horses when it comes to the pass rush. But show me something. Come on. And I mean, Tampa Bay, they've won this division since 2021. Granted, I mean, we're talking about like a few Tom Brady years in there, so. Before that, it was Drew Brees and the Saints. Oh, yeah. Then we got Cam Newton down here. Golly, look at... I love going back through history. I'm always surprised. And then last but not least, we got the AFC West. So I think thus far, I only have one change in a division winner compared to last year. I got the Packers winning the North. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to go with 2, maybe it's this division. The Rams. They actually they had the same record as the Seahawks last year. Sam Darnold. I don't know how much I buy into Sam Darnold, man. I don't. I think there ain't no way he's as good as he was last year, right? Maybe he is. But I'm not going to expect that. That offensive line's still trying to figure some things out. Defense should be really good. Mike McDonald, one of my favorite defensive-minded coaches in the NFL. Will the Cardinals be competitive? Probably be competitive, but enough to win the division? I don't think so. I think that defense, finally, in Gannon's 3rd year, they addressed the defense, especially through the draft, but I think that they're probably a year away defensively. That defense does a good job of hitting above their weight class, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to bet on them. And then the Niners, they were banged up. They're kind of banged up going into this year. Brandon Ayuk, he's going to miss the first, I think, 4 to 6. I think it's 6 games of the year. The defense, I mean, Robert Saleh, he's back. Vibes are good. Let's take a look at, and I mean, dude, Matthew Stafford, will he survive? The back, he's old. I'm old. I feel my back. It's not a good place to be. And I mean, oh, shoot. Larry Jackson expected to start this week, but blood clots. It's serious, but I mean, we've seen players overcome that. Christian Barmore, I think the most recent example. Will he be healthy to play? But prior to that, Trey Smith. It was a big reason he dropped in the draft. So currently, this is actually really close. This is probably the closest we've seen it. The Niners are currently plus 150. The Rams plus 195. And I think I'm going to go ahead and say the Niners have a bounce back year. Christian McCaffrey's healthy. Hopefully you stay healthy. Was it every other year he's banged up? Well, we're in a year where he's not. At least if we're talking about trends. Then this should be the year for him, right? But I think we're going to see the Niners defense. And I know they got a bunch of young guys, but there's a lot I like on the defense. Taking a look at the roster, you got Nick Bosa, one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Across from him, it's going to be your first-round pick, Mikael Williams. But also, Saleh brings over Bryce Young. Bryce Young, who played really good for the Jets under Saleh, and then got paid a bag by the Eagles. And nothing really came of that. But I think the pass rush will be better. I think the run defense will be better. I'm really excited with the interior. I know you look at like Jordan Elliott and Kalia Davis as your starters, and it's like, yeesh. But they drafted Alfred Collins to come in there and play the nose. They drafted CJ West. I liked him. I know he's got that thick frame, and you might think, nose tackle, but no. I think he comes in, you put him in the 3-tech, and you let him get after it because he's got some burst to him. Jordan Elliott's going to be your pass rusher more times than not. Who's going to lead this defensive interior in snaps? It's probably Elliott, but I think we're going to see Collins and West a lot more this year. Fred Warner, still one of the best linebackers in football. D Winners, it's going to be interesting. We'll see. Ronaldo Green, I think, continues to just take that step up after a promising rookie season. Diamondor Lenore, just got paid last season. He played a lot in and out of the slot, but I think he's going to be expected to play much more outside. I'm excited to see Upton Stout there in the slot. Feisty player, gets after it. Going to be a very good run defender. And then, the safety group's not encouraging. It's not great because you got, guys banged up. Like Malik Mustafa is going to start the year, I believe, on IR. But Jason Pinnock's not bad. He's like the new Xavier Woods. Like, you look at your safety room and you're like, we could probably upgrade over Xavier Woods, but I don't feel bad with him as a starter. That's kind of what Pinnock is right now. Jair Brown, get good, son. But I think the defense will be much better this year for the Niners, and that's why I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're going to be better. That defense is going to be better than anticipated. But we're doing predictions. Let's predict who's going to win MVP. That's right. We're going to go through all the trophies. Should I save MVP for last? I think I might. I think I just might. It's a quarterback award. We'll talk about quarterbacks last. Let's jump to Offensive Player of the Year. Here are the odds for Offensive Player of the Year. You got a couple of older backs. Saquon coming off an unbelievable season. Derrick Henry, the man's like a fine wine. He just ages gracefully. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson's on the list. And you got the young backs now. What to expect from them? I think we should let's start by looking at the running backs, and then I'll talk about some of my predictions on who I think might win this award. And we're gonna have to go to this screen, I believe. Yes. Now, I took Saquon, Derrick Henry, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. You'd be like, David Montgomery. It's like, well, let's be honest. He's gonna eat into the volume of Gibbs. So he's going to be here as well. When you look at touches last year, for one, I don't think Barkley survives with the amount of touches the Eagles gave him last year. I think by the end of the postseason, Barkley had over 430 touches. This is a guy that has a history of ankle sprains, high ankle sprains. He had the serious injury a few years ago. I think if you're going to keep him healthy, you're going to want someone to work in to take some of that, just that usage off his shoulders just to keep him healthy. Oh, man, Bijan, Gibbs. I mean, looking at what they did last year, because I know Gibbs, you look at the touches, he is clearly behind. He's 50 behind Bijan, like 75 behind Derrick Henry, almost 100 carries. Again, we're looking at carries behind Barkley, because if you look at receptions, go all the way down here. I mean, Bijan led the group with 61. Gibbs had 52. I mean, these are the guys that are going to begin to work out of the backfield, which I think might give them a leg up when it comes to Offensive Player of the Year. Let's look at these forced missed tackles, these yards after contact. Like Bijan, I love Bijan. He's my dude. Gibbs edges him out here, man. Gibbs is electric. Just edges Bijan out here. It's where I'm at. Derrick Henry, though. I mean, do we see age finally play into the cards here with Derrick Henry? I'm not willing to bet against Derrick Henry. I'm just not. So it's like, okay, they're all relatively close. If anything, if I had to pick one, Gibbs probably over Bijan. But then, I mean, part of what's going to play a part is their offensive line. So I went ahead, I put it in a Google spreadsheet because I wanted to take a look at this sucker. Let's look at these four teams, their offensive line, specifically run blocking. This is run blocking. This is via grades via PFF. Because for the most part, I think it's pretty on the nose. It's pretty close. The Eagles are the only team with more than one elite run defender. Again, per PFF grades. As you can see, I got a nice key over there. Blue is elite. Green is above average. Yellow is average. Red is below average. And fortunately, for all these squads, they don't have a below average run blocker. Perfect. But the Eagles have 3 elite run blockers compared to the other 3 offensive lines, which have 1. Okay. I guess it is what it is. Let's look at this, the weak spots then. Tyler Steen, very obviously a weak spot, a guy that Stoutland has hopefully been developing, but sometimes it just doesn't click. For the Lions, Graham Glasgow. I think at this juncture, he's a better 6th offensive lineman than he is starter. Tate Ratledge, I loved Ratledge coming out of the draft, but you don't know what you got in him. You don't. Till he touches the NFL field. You don't know. But I think it's going to be good. Ryan Nuzell. It's going to be his first year as a full-time starter. And then you lost Caleb McGarry, who really kind of puts the Falcons over the edge. I think of teams like the Lions and the Ravens. You lost him for, I think, the year. Maybe not, but they get Elijah Wilkinson, who's an average run blocker. So I'm just saying they're looking very similar to the Lions in that department. Lions who lost Kevin Zeitler, who lost Frank Ragnow, who's an elite center. And then the Ravens sit here. Love me Tyler Linderbaum, Ronnie Stanley, an above average run blocker. Rosengarten, you got to imagine he takes a step in the right direction and maybe he goes from average to above average. But that guard play, man, it's the weakest spot of the roster. Easy. Andrew Voorhees. I was a big Andrew Voorhees guy going into the draft. Last year, he ends up getting not benched, but replaced in the starting lineup. Daniel Faalele. Not my cup of tea. Just saying. So, kind of feels like if there's some regression to be had, it would be through Derrick Henry. But again, never bet against Derrick Henry. And Monken, phenomenal offensive mind. I mean, if we're talking about offensive minds here, I mean, the Ravens, you're your kind of best bet, because the Eagles and Lions, they had to replace their OCs this offseason. They hired within. Cool. Or I guess promoted. The Falcons, Zach Robinson, this is year 2. So the Eagles are kind of the obvious team here. So I guess you would go with Saquon. But Gibbs fascinates me. He fascinates me. If I was going to give you a sleeper in this regard, Jamar Chase is going to see a lot of targets. It's close between him and Justin Jefferson. Who's the best wide receiver in the NFL? I lean Chase. I think Chase is just kind of special in that regard, but we're kind of nitpicking here. Let's go for a real sleeper option. Let's go with Christian McCaffrey, CMC. If this is a year where he is healthy, if he can get back to that 2023 form, then holy moly, watch out. Just watch out. That was a good discussion there. That was a good discussion. Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. Can I make this a little bigger? Actually, I think I want to do this. Yeah, there we go. So currently, Micah Parsons at plus 600. Aiden Hutchinson, plus 750. Myles Garrett, he's always going to be in the running there. Him and TJ Watt. There's some interesting new names here. Will Anderson, Nick Bosa, or not Nick Bosa, Jared Verse. Jalen Carter. I'm surprised Jalen Carter is included in this. And we don't see the likes of, I don't know, Chris Jones, Sexy Dexy, Dexter Lawrence. Matter of fact, let's start there. Let's go over some of these pass rushers from the interior. I went ahead. I narrowed it down between the teams that I think have elite, great guys, and I think it's kind of funny. You got John Franklin Myers, who kind of plays both inside and outside. Pass rush win rate, really good for him last year. But we're talking about Jones. We're talking about maybe Milton Williams, actually. Bigger snap count. We'll see. But we're talking Dexter Lawrence. So you'd be like, man, look at that win rate, 12.5%. No one on this list is playing more nose tackle, zero tech than Dexter Lawrence. So being able to do that, seeing the amount of double teams he does, that's pretty darn impressive. Jalen Carter, he would have to take a big step up, I think, to challenge a Chris Jones. But we'll see. We'll see. Zach Allen's such an interesting name here. He just is. Coming off a really good year. But I think the odds-on favorite is probably an edge rusher, right? So let's go to these edge rushing numbers. If you didn't know, now you know. Aiden Hutchinson, he played 5 games last season. It was against okay competition, but he was phenomenal. A 38.3% pass rush win rate is unheard of. It's ludicrous. Does he keep that up through a full season? Doubtful. But I imagine he's in this 20% club. He should be your favorite. He should be. But Myles Garrett's going to be there. Micah Parsons going to be there. Nick Bosa's going to be there. Trey Hendrickson playing for a new deal. He's going to be there. My sleeper, though, let's look at those young guys. You got Will Anderson. You got Jared Verse. Jared Verse going into year 2. Phenomenal rookie year. Basically already at that elite win rate. And I would argue Verse is on the better defensive line where he's going to produce. And you might be like, whoa, stop the brakes. Will Anderson's playing across Danielle Hunter. Look at that interior. While the Texans have an interior with a high floor, the Rams have an interior with a high ceiling. who also has a relatively high floor. So I think, I kind of lean in the way of Jared Verse. And if I were to pick a sleeper, it would be Jared Verse. If you didn't know, now you know. We got a new award in the NFL, finally showing love to these offensive linemen. We're going to have a Protector of the Year category. So I went ahead. For the most part, all these guys are good run blockers, so let's look at how they do against the pass. Let's look at it. I think your favorites are pretty easy. Tristan Wirfs, Jordan Mailata. Those are your two favorites. Now, Mailata, is he going to be healthy for a full stretch? The Eagles dealt with injuries, minor. I think a lot of hamstring issues early in the year. But for the most part, we're one of the healthiest teams for the majority of the season. Tristan Wirfs will miss probably the first game at least, maybe the first couple. I think there's a great case to be made that these are your two best offensive tackles in the NFL. Rashawn Slater, we'll see you next year. Trent Williams, just like Derrick Henry. He's a fine wine, but will Father Time finally come for him? He's also missed games, so you can't really throw him into there. Lane Johnson, you can't really throw him into there. Will they give this to a center in the first year of the award? Reed Humphrey, best center in football. We'll see. But I wouldn't pick him. Laramie Tunsil's always interesting. He gets a lot of crap about all the penalties, locker room cancer, whatever. He's one of the best tackles in the NFL. Easy. But penalties probably keep him out of the run-in. Same with Garrett Bowles. It's between Wirfs. It's between Mailata for me. I lean Wirfs. I'm a big Wirfs fan. So that's where I'm going. Let's go back over here. We're going to Comeback Player of the Year. Well, shoot. Of course, the favorites here. Aiden Hutchinson. Coming off the broken leg, was it? He's going to get Aleem McNeil back at some point during the year. Yeah, I have him as a favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. He should be a favorite Comeback Player of the Year. Christian McCaffrey. Again, are we in an on year for McCaffrey? Because if that's the case, he was my sleeper for Offensive Player of the Year. He'll be in consideration for this as well. Dak Prescott's a very interesting name. Coming off injury, the offense did add. They certainly did add. They got George Pickens. They bring in Tyler Booker. I just will say, if I'm expecting McCaffrey to be good this year, Hutchinson fully healthy, he would not be a favorite for me. But looking at some of the other names on the list, I think it's interesting. JJ McCarthy, didn't see him at all last year. How will he do with the Vikings? I suppose we'll see. Daniel Jones. I'm just not a Daniel Jones believer. Sorry, I'm just not. Tua. He's going to be on this Comeback Player of the Year list every year, and I say that as a Dolphins fan. Can he stay healthy? There's a couple of interesting wide receivers here coming off injuries. Stephon Diggs? Oh, okay. Yeah. There's a world I can see that. Chris Olave? Unfortunately not. Your quarterback situation is absolutely terrible. Brandon Ayuk is interested. Chris Godwin is interested. These are two guys that are going to miss 4 to 6 weeks to start the season. So yeah, they're probably out of the running. Let's talk about the fan favorite. I hope it's this. It's Nick Chubb. He's my sleeper. Of course he is. Joe Mixon. He's on IR. Is he going to miss 4 games or is he going to miss the season? If he misses a whole lot of time, that opens it up for Nick Chubb, who sure, he might share some of the snaps in the backfield with like a Dameon Pierce. I think Woody Marks is there just for a little depth. Maybe Marks gets some volume, but I like the chances for Knicks. But let's do MVP. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about where do I have, there we go. Of course, I'm kind of shocked that Joe Burrow I mean, I guess I'm not. He's going to be having to throw a lot. Hopefully he can stay healthy. I think that this is his first healthy offseason since his rookie year. So yeah, let's put some respect on Joe Burrow's name. He's an elite quarterback. But your favorites are Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. No crap. During the regular season, they are the best two quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes. If this award was given out before the playoffs, before the Super Bowl, yeah, probably Mahomes would be in the running. But it's not. Jaden Daniels. I'm telling y'all, hit the brakes. It's nice to be like, hey, he can be in that MVP conversation. But I'm telling you, if he puts up a similar year as last year, those are still very encouraging and good signs. But guys, yeah, this has to be. I think Burrow's interesting just because the stats are going to be huge because he's going to have to throw his way into some games. He's got the weapons to do it. Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen don't really have those weapons. I mean, they have guys in the run game that could take pressure off of them. But I mean, if we're talking about their elite wide receivers, Zay Flowers, Khalil Shakir. No, Joe Burrow. He's got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Those two guys, I would argue, are better than the ones for the Ravens and the Bills. So it's fascinating, but I do think ultimately this comes down to Allen and Jackson. Their teams are going to have records that warrant it. Oh, I guess Jaden Daniels is the sleeper here. Jalen Hurts is going to have a lot of rushing touchdowns. Tush Push is still alive and well. But yeah, MVP has turned into a quarterback awards. Nothing but quarterbacks on here. Vegas knows what they're doing. If I had to pick between Jackson and Allen, I guess I'm going to pick Allen. I'm going to pick Allen. Who won it last year? It was... are you going to tell me? Here we go. Josh Allen won it last year. I mean, Lamar Jackson, can he win it his second MVP? I don't know. That's interesting. Or does Josh Allen win it back to back? I might say Allen wins it back to back, but that's also because he is my daddy. That's right. Why does it look like I'm looking away from the camera? What are we doing here? Let's flip this sucker. But yeah, I mean, we've come to that point where I got to pick my Super Bowl matchup, my Super Bowl winner. Golly, there's so much to do here, so much to pick from. There we go. Now I'm in a right headspace. You know, let's go to full screen. Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl predictions. Who will it be? Well, I think from the AFC, you have three obvious choices, and it's the Chiefs, who are there every year, the Ravens, and the Bills. Can those two teams finally get over the hurdle that is the Kansas City Chiefs? I think if I'm going to predict, I want to predict fun. And what's more fun than new? Let's go with one of the Ravens or the Bills. I think Lamar Jackson needs a proof he won't choke in the playoffs. So yeah, I guess we're going with the Buffalo Bills. They're going to represent the AFC. Who represents the NFC though? The Eagles sure have to be your favorites. Detroit's might make a run. They're hella good. The Commanders are fun. They're new. They're exciting. But the Packers do probably make the biggest move of the offseason, in my opinion. Micah Parsons. That defense was already pretty good, but it was missing a superstar. They have now added a superstar. If healthy, that offense should do well. That offensive line's pretty darn good. Again, if the weakest spot on your offensive line is Aaron Banks, then you're in good shape. Josh Jacobs should eat. They added to the wide receiver room, though there's some injury woes in the wide receiver room. Believe is Jaden Reed. Is it a foot injury with Jaden Reed? I can't recall. And then the concussion concerns with Romeo Doubs. Christian Watson won't be there for much of the season, coming off the late season ACL, I believe. But they draft Matthew Golden. Ooh, that's fun. Oh, I didn't do rookie or defensive rookie of the year. Let's go with Cam Ward, offensive rookie of the year. Sleeper, Matthew Golden. Could be one of the running backs. I mean, but I feel like Genty and Hampton, they're up there with favorites. And if we're going to talk about favorites, they're probably going to go with the quarterback. Defense. Oh, that's so intriguing. Who's going to get after the quarterback? That's probably my question. I mean, Travis Hunter is probably the favorite, right? Yeah, it feels like it's probably Travis Hunter. Does he play enough on defense to warrant defensive rookie of the year? Or does the NFL just give it to him? Let's think about this. Who are some other rookies I got drafted? Oh, Abdul Carter. That's an easy one, right? It's an easy one. He's going to get after it. He's going to eat. If I had to go sleeper, probably still pass rusher. I mean, defensive player of the year has turned into such a pass rusher award. Who would be that other pass rusher? Kel Williams? Oh, if you want a real sleeper, Mike Green. That was my dude coming out of the draft. I don't know. We're here to talk about Super Bowl champions. I think Packers represent the NFC. I think we get 2 new teams. Again, new fun. Let's predict new and fun. I'm going to go with the Bills versus the Packers. Who wins that? Josh Allen. You're not only going to win an MVP, you're going to win a Super Bowl because you deserve it. There we go. And that coming out of my mouth as a Dolphins fan makes me want to throw up. But as a Dolphins fan, I'm also super nihilistic. I'm dead inside. You can't hurt me anymore, Dolphins, because I have no expectations for you. And people might be like, oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. That's sad. Why do you not have expectations for the Dolphins? Because when they do well, I'm pleasantly surprised. Fire Chris Greer. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. That's it for the video. Wanted to get a few NFL hot takes out there for you. This is a pretty long video, but I mean, it's me talking. We're having fun. Let me know some of your hot takes or some of your predictions in the comment section below. NFL, we're back tomorrow. Oh, yes, we're so back. It's going to be fun. It's just good to have football back. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.